All right, here's the review for test 4. Let's classify these triangles by sides and angles. So remember, draw here. There we go. Okay, so remember, your sides are going to be either equilateral, isosceles, or scalene. Angles, it's either going to be acute, obtuse, or right. So again, those are your options. Looking at number 1, each side is different. Okay, so 3 different sides. That is scalene. Okay, look at the angles. Each angle is less than 90. That is acute. Cool. Look at the top right one. The sides. Each side is different. That is scalene again. Look at the angles. We have one angle that looks like this. That is a right angle, so it's a right triangle. Okay, look at the sides over here. I have 2 congruent sides. They're both 15. 2, like my eyes, is isosceles. And look at the angles. I have one angle that's very large, bigger than 90, which means that's obtuse. Okay. And then look at these sides. Oh, 2 equal sides. That is, once again, like my 2 eyes, isosceles. And then the angles, well, I do have one right angle like the one above it. That is a right triangle. Okay, so remember, that's how you classify. You need to be able to classify by angles and sides. Okay, on number 2, list the side lengths in order from least to greatest. So if we're doing side lengths, then we need to look at the angles. So we're doing side lengths, least to greatest. So what's the smallest side length? It's across from the smallest angle. So the smallest angle I see out of 60, 80, 40 is 40. What's across from 40? Okay, so this side is segment AB. Okay, the middle angle I see is 60. Across from 60 is this side, which goes from A to C. And then the biggest angle, 80, across from that is this side that goes from B to C. B, C. Cool. All right, and then here too, least to greatest. The least angle I see is 37. So across from 37 is this segment, which goes from B to C. The middle angle is 54. Across from 54 is this segment from A to B. And the biggest angle is 89. Across is this from A to C. All right. Moving on to number 3. All right, number 3. In a certain triangle, x, y, z are representing the sides. If x is 8 and z is 15, well, it must be true about y. Okay. Now you look at these answers, you see some less thans. Okay. The third side, let's find a range of values. So remember, the letter is not x this time because x is already 8, z is 15. We're looking for y, so I'll put y in the middle. Less than, because it's a range between 2 numbers. Remember, we subtract on the left. So take the 2 we know, 15 and 8, subtract them, and we get 7. And then on the right side, you add them up. 15 plus 8 gives me 23. So the range of values for y is between 7 and 23. The answer is B. Okay. Number 4. A is located at negative 7, 7. B is located at negative 9, 1. What is the distance formula? Remember doing this? So here's the distance formula. Actually, let's put it over here. Distance formula. So x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So let's go ahead and plug in these numbers. Square root sign. Now x2, my second x value is negative 9. My first x value is negative 7. So negative 9 minus sign and then negative 7 squared plus the y value, the y2 is the second y value, 1 minus, and then the y1 is negative 7. So 1 minus negative 7. Don't forget the squared. So when I go over here, new document, don't save, number 1. We need the square root sign, so you hit Control X squared, and let's start typing this in. Parentheses, negative sign 9, minus sign, negative sign 7, parentheses squared, plus, parentheses 1, minus sign, negative sign 7, parentheses squared. If you type it in perfectly like that, you'll get 8.246, which will round to 8.25. Distance is the distance formula. Okay. You got to remember you're subtracting the two numbers, and be careful when you subtract a negative. You have to put minus sign, negative sign. Okay. Don't forget any squareds. Make sure you type it perfectly like that. Okay. Let's determine the measure of each missing angle in the triangle. Well, the only missing angles are y. We know that inside of a triangle, it adds up to 180 degrees, right? So let's set that up, okay? Let's add up all three angles. 42 plus y equals 180, right? Angle plus angle plus angle equals 180. Okay. So let's combine like terms. A 1y plus a 1y is a 2y. Breaking everything else down. Now, if I'm solving for y, on the left side, I need to get rid of the loner, which is 42. Since it's positive, I'm going to do the opposite and subtract. So minus 42, 2y equals, okay, I should get 138. Last step to get rid of that 2, we divide by 2, and we get 69. Okay, so that's what we get for y. That's how many degrees we get. Okay. Okay, which of the following sets of number cannot represent the sides of a triangle? Remember, A plus B must be greater than C. Okay, these are the two small ones, and this is the longest. Okay, cannot be equal, and it cannot be the other way around. Cool. So let's add this up. 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 is greater than 9. Yes. Smaller ones, 5 plus 7 is 12. Is 12 greater than 11? Yes. Letter C, 5 plus 4 is 9. Is 9 greater than the third side 9? 9 is not greater than itself. Okay, so no. And then down here, the smallest ones are 4 plus 5. Is 9 greater than 6? Yes. So C cannot represent the side of a triangle. Cool. Number 7. PQR is isosceles. Now check it out. if these two angles are congruent, then these two sides across are also congruent. That's the converse of the isosceles theorem. So if these are congruent, we can set them equal to each other because we know they're the same size, same shape. Therefore, they have the same measurement. So let's set this up. 15x plus 7 equals 23. Oh boy. 23x minus 17. Now you can do menu 3-1 to end solve on here. I don't mind. But if you're going to solve it by hand, x is on both sides. You get rid of the smaller x minus 15x because it was positive. Bring down 7 equals 23 minus 15 is 8x minus 17. Bring that down. And then get rid of the loner. The opposite of minus 17 is plus 17 plus 17. 24 equals 8x. And then your last step to get rid of 8 is to divide by 8 because it's a coefficient that's being multiplied. The opposite is to divide. So these 8's cancel out. 24 divided by 8 is 3. Okay. Now, to find PR from P to R is this expression, 13x minus 5, right? All right, so 13, but instead of x, we're going to put what x equals, which we already know is 3, right? Parentheses 3, bring down minus 5. So what is 13 times 3? It is 39. And then you have to subtract 5. It's 34. Cool. All right. All right, find the value of A. Okay, so if you have 5 and 5, two equal sides, means that if that's 70, that means that is also going to be 70 degrees, okay? So we have A, 70 and 70, inside of a triangle adds up to 180. So let's add them up. 70 plus 70 plus missing A equals 180. Find like terms to get 140. And then subtract 140 on both sides. Get rid of that loner. We get 180 minus 140 is 40 degrees. Okay. All right, number 9. Tiana is making a sign for a restaurant. She has a 40-foot pole, which she must saw into 3 pieces to form an isosceles triangle. She needs 2 of the pieces to be the same size, which the following cannot be the length of the base. Okay. So you want to think about this. 40 pole is the total. Okay. It's got to be 2 pieces of the same size. Let's see here. We'll have to do this bit by bit. If the length of the base is 8, okay. So if it's 8, then we're going to take the total 40 minus 8, and we're left with 32. And could you cut 32 in half? Yes. Okay. What about letter B? If you subtract 16, you would get 24. Could you cut that in half? Yes. What about 12? Minus 12 gives you 28. Could you cut that in half? Yes. Minus 20 is 20. Could you cut that in half? Yes. Let's try this again. She has a 40-foot pole, which she must saw into 3 pieces to form an isosceles triangle. She needs 2 of the pieces to be the same size, obviously, which the line could not be the length of the base. Okay, I have a feeling what they mean is that which one of these cannot be the length of the base. Okay, we're gonna just skip that one. I'm not a fan of how that's worded, to be honest. Okay, number 10, find the value of x in the picture. Instead of x, they meant angle 1, okay? Or you could think of this as x, either way, okay? So you're gonna think outside equals the interiors added together. So the exterior is 152. That equals these two remotes added up, x plus 115. And that's all for x. You get rid of the 115 by subtracting. We get 37 degrees. Cool. Find the measure of d. Okay, first we want to find x. I have these 3 angles. I don't know what they add up to, but I do know that, well, I do know what they add up to. It's 180 degrees inside of a triangle, right? They add up to 180, right? So let's make a long, ugly equation here. 9x plus 3 plus 5x minus 2 plus 11x minus 21 equals 180. Okay. Now, let's combine like terms. All these x's. 9 plus 5 is 14, plus 11, 25x. Add all these numbers, these constants together. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 minus 21 is negative 20 or minus 20. Equals 180. Bring that down. Get rid of the loner. Plus 20, plus 20. By the way, you could do menu 3-1 and just solve this with nsolve as well. But to finish off by hand, 180 plus 20 is 200. To get rid of that 25 coefficient that's being multiplied, we must divide. 25 goes into 200 8 times. Okay. Now, if you're trying to find angle D, check it out. Angle D over here is 5x minus 2. Measure of angle D is 5x minus 2. So we're going to replace x with parentheses 8. 5 times 8 is 40. 40 minus 2 is 38 degrees. Okay. Number 12, find SG if SJ is 60. Now, check it out. From S to J, all the way across, is 60. Okay? So, remember, if I'm looking for SG, okay, SG is the big section. So remember, big equals 2/3 of the whole thing. Okay? If you reference your notes, we did talk about that right here on your notes. So reference your notes to help you out with that one. Okay? So let's write that down. Big equals 2/3 of the whole. 2/3 times 60. And again, to type that in, you do Control divide 2 over 3. Don't forget to go to the right and then times 60. We get 40. Not degrees, so just 40. Cool. All right. ABC has the vertices negative 1, 6. B has 7, 2. Around 200. So that's. Hmm. All right. These numbers are not right with the graph, so let's use the graph. Okay. So this is 7, negative 2. B is negative 4, 9. And C is negative 3, negative 1. All right, so let's use distance formula to do this. Okay, so for AB, I'm gonna subtract the x's, negative 4 minus 7 squared plus, and then subtract the y's, 9 minus negative 2 squared. Let's write BC out. Okay, from B to C, so subtract the x's, negative 3 minus negative 4 squared plus, subtract the y's, negative 1 minus 9. Okay, and then for CA, so let's go ahead and, all right, so negative 3 minus 7 squared plus negative 1 minus negative 2 squared. Now, we got all that. Let's go ahead and type these in. So square root negative 4 minus 7 parentheses squared plus 9 minus negative 2 parentheses squared, enter, and then square root negative 3 minus negative 4 parentheses squared plus negative 1 minus sign 9 parentheses squared, and then square root parentheses negative 3 minus 7 parentheses squared plus parentheses negative 1 minus sign negative sign 2 parentheses squared. If you can type those in correctly, you'll get your side lengths. So the first one, AB, is 15.56. We're going to round. The 6 makes the 5 go up. And then for BC and CA, 10.05. 10.05. So you'll notice we have two equal sides, right? So BC and CA, okay, not in the picture, but in the, well, yes, in the picture. These aren't perfectly square grids, so it doesn't look right, but nonetheless, whoops. So all that to say, our triangle, if we have two equal sides, is isosceles. All right, and you can see right here that this angle is bigger than 90, so it's obtuse. Obtuse and isosceles. All right, last one. Using the pick below, solve for x. So check it out. If we know that these two angles are congruent, then you go across. That means that these opposite sides are congruent. And we did one like this before. That means that these two side lengths are equal as well. So let's write that out. 8x minus 13 equals the other congruent side that matches 5x plus 17. do not incorporate, oops, all right, like I was saying, these two sides are congruent. You don't have to include the x plus 21 because that is not a congruent side. So solving it from here, you can do menu 3-1 and solve if you want, but let's solve it by hand. To get rid of the smaller x is minus 5x. 8 minus 5 is 3x. Bring down minus 13 equals bring down 17. Get rid of the loner. The opposite of minus 13 is plus 13 plus 13. 3x equals, and then you get 30. And then to get rid of that 3 in front of x that's being multiplied, we do the opposite by dividing anytime we have a coefficient. So we get 10. Cool. And if you needed to, you could plug that back in here to get df if they ask you for it. All right. That's your review. Please study this and be ready for your test and bring it tomorrow.